Welcome to the show. Tamar Lyons runs a social media agency that helps business owners grow their brand and voice on digital platforms. She has helped many entrepreneurs not only find the fun in social media strategy, but earn thousands of dollars and go viral. Her done-for-you services help clients get more eyes on their brand, increase engagement, and get recognized by the right customers. We have so much to discuss, and we want to answer your burning questions about social media growth. So welcome, Tamar, to the show.
Thank you. That's a great intro. I appreciate it.
No problem. It's all the truth. I love following you on social media, and just besides the fact that your content's awesome, I love when you share your client wins, and I'm like cheering them on from the sidelines. I'm like, yes, another win. I love it. I love what you share. Okay, so I know I have a lot of questions that people ask me about social media, and I don't consider myself to be a social media master. Like I'll stay good at what I'm good at, but let's ask all the crazy social media questions that come up all the time. The first one is, I think, very basic, but often small business owners come to me and they're like, why do I need social media? What are the benefits of having a social media presence as a business owner?
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, it's interesting. So we work specifically with service-based businesses, but this applies both to service-based businesses and to product-based businesses. The benefits of being on social media, kind of like the number one thing, is that increased visibility. If you're building your brand, if you're building your business, you need people to know that you exist, because if you don't have anyone knowing that you exist, then nobody's buying from you. That I can guarantee. So,
Amen.
exactly. So it's like, that's the thing with social media. When, we're in 2023 right now, when people hear about your business, maybe it's through word of mouth, maybe it's even a referral, what the first thing that they're going to do, and there's actually research backing this too. You can look up the numbers on Google and whatnot, but like depending on the generation, more and more people are looking up businesses when they hear about you on TikTok and on Instagram. And so if you don't have a presence that is commanding attention on social media, then when they're looking you up, they're either thinking, wow, okay, this company's not really relevant because the last time they posted was 6 years ago. Or, if they're not feeling a connection to you through your content, then nothing's really happening there. So you really want to make sure first and foremost that you are on social media so that you are relevant and that you can gain that visibility and kind of get clients and really build your presence and brand on socials for sure.
And it makes so much sense because as an Instagram user, the first thing I do, first of all, if I hear a new name, like if a name comes up, where am I looking? I don't Google it. I check Instagram. That's the first thing. So it's so true. Like it's so important to exist just for the sake of being able to be findable. And you talk about being authentic on social media a lot also, and using your voice and your personality. So can you explain what that means and what that would look like for someone who wants to put themselves out there?
So really kind of where that whole idea comes from is this, I hear from my clients all the time where they don't want to show up and be salesy. They feel that like when it comes to showing up on social media, it's like they have to say the right thing and it has to be perfect. And if it's not perfect, it's not good enough and it's terrible. And there's no point of me trying if I can't make it perfect the first time. That's like one of the, main things that I hear from my clients and just from people in general. And so when I talk about authenticity, it's interesting because what I find is that when you show up on social media from a place of saying, I have immense value to bring to the table, I created this business because I want to help people, like that is when you actually see results.
That
Obviously,
why, having that
yeah,
why, having a strong why. Yeah. So that's like the essence of branding, is knowing why you're doing something and who you're showing up for.
exactly. But I think even more so is understanding when you understand that why, it's you created this business for this reason, for your why, and you're helping people. So you're not necessarily having that block anymore, because if you feel like, oh, I don't want to show up, I don't want to talk about my product, I don't want to talk about my business, it's annoying, it's bothersome. You shift the whole mindset where it's like, no, I have something of incredible value and I'm sharing this with my audience and with my community and with potential customers so that they can buy, they can find it, they can hear about me, and they can use this service and it can change their life, And it's like,
Yeah.
I work a lot with businesses in the health and wellness space, and they're literally transforming the world. Like, I'm not even joking. Like the transformations that they give their clients are so incredible. I read these testimonials from clients that join their online programs and whatnot. And it's like, if they were too scared to share about that program, if they allowed themselves to get stuck in the fear of being salesy, then they never would have transformed their client's life. So they're doing a huge disservice when you're not showing up authentically and you're not showing up from that place of understanding your why, and you're actually not talking about your product. That's one of the things that I really see is when you show up from that authentic place, that is when you have the ability in that platform to really change people's lives. And if
I
that's guiding
love
you,
that.
yeah, if
And
that's
I'm
guiding
gonna
you,
jump in. Sorry, I'm interrupting you, but like I'm like, oh my
all
God,
good.
this is so good.
There's so much.
So yes, by the way, just to add to that, like breaking through that fear of showing up, it also, when you think about why you're showing up and the reason and how much power you have to help people, it also breaks through that fear of imposter syndrome. And that's like another reason I see people not showing up on social media. They're like, I don't have enough experience to tell people how to do something. I don't know how to do that. And I'm like, you don't know till you try, but like, remember why you're doing this. You need to show up. It's so important. And then I also want to touch on another thing you said, which was transformation. And it's amazing how many small business owners contact me and they don't even realize that they have the power to transform. So thank you, Tamar, for bringing that up, because transformation is such an essential piece to who you are as a business. And when you realize and recognize that you can transform lives with your gift, because you're in the service-based industry, and people do have this innate gift when they're servicing. But even people who have products that are helping people, like, yes, you can really, really change lives with what you give to the world. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, but there was such good stuff there.
Yeah, I agree. And that's one of the things is that I think people, especially working with a lot of service-based businesses in the wellness space, I find that there's this idea of like altruism, so if you became a doctor, to help people, that was like that's your why. You want to help people heal. If whether, you're a doctor or in the allied health space, whatever it is, you went into this profession to help people. And I see this mindset all the time in people in that industry with my clients and with potential clients. It's, I just want to help, but you're not helping if you're invisible. You can't help people if people don't know about you. And it's the same, like you said, with a product-based business as well, because if you have a product and you created this product and it's, it has a need, it fills a need for your client. If you're not promoting it, you're not helping your client. And so if everything you do is coming from this place of service, then you can show up authentically and talk about the product, talk about the benefits, and talk about how it helps your ideal client. And that's when the transformation happens. So 100%, it's really important. It has to be infused in everything that you do.
That's amazing. And how do you help a client determine the best place to show up, like the best platform to use to show up and showcase what it is they have that can help others?
So I think first and foremost, it's really looking at who their ideal client is, who they're looking to reach. So it's actually so funny because I'm having these conversations right now. And I feel like it's actually going to be interesting because, you're based in the US, I'm based in Canada, and there's a lot of conversations right now around TikTok and around, potential, what's going to happen with the platform, what it's like, because of all the politics around it and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because right now, a lot of clients are asking me, is it worth it to invest in being on that platform right now because it might shut down? And so it's very, very fascinating because what I know to be true is that the clients that we're working with, we're getting around 13 million views per month on that platform. And we're really helping people funnel. And that's pretty much like on all the clients we're doing on TikTok. And they're all service-based businesses. So we're showcasing their services. Some of them have products as well within the service that they're doing. For example, like a landscaping company, they sell some like landscaping products too. But anyways, we're getting them millions upon millions of views per month, and we're funneling people in from TikTok. They're getting the discoverability there and the visibility, and we're funneling them into their like leads and sales pipeline. And so while yes, maybe 3 months from now, TikTok might shut down, but what I know is we're also seeing these results right now. So why would we not capitalize on it while we can? So that was like kind of a background to answer your question. But I think TikTok, there's so many people who think that TikTok is not the place for them. But if you use it effectively, it can be so powerful for your business in the sense of visibility. Because if you think about it, TikTok is a discoverability and visibility platform, whereas Instagram is a lot more of a nurturing and it's where you build the community that you have. And that's where more conversions happen. So how I like to look at it is TikTok is where people find you. Instagram is where people kind of already know about you, and that's where they kind of learn more about you. That's where you have more of those touch points. You warm them up, they become your warm leads, and you convert them through Instagram. So all those pieces together, when a business is looking for where they want to be, I would definitely say you want to look at where is your audience and where can you get the most visibility? How can you get the most new eyes on your business? Today's day and age, a lot of that is going to be TikTok. However, that's, if you are maybe like an old age home, for example, I would definitely not say go on TikTok. Like that's not going to be your audience. But,
Right.
you might have people who, they're looking to, there might be like secondary audiences there, but I would just say, look at your ideal audience. Who is it that you're trying to serve? Who is it that you love to work with? And research the platforms that they're on. To be honest, most businesses that I'm working with today that are, their demographics are people between the ages of 25 to 50, we're utilizing TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. YouTube has been around forever, and it's not actually a social media platform, but there is so much potential there. I don't know if you even want to get into it, but like I love YouTube. I think it is incredible in terms of the visibility that's available to businesses.
From what I understand, also the YouTube algorithm is very friendly in that it does put more of your stuff out there for people that are starting to watch your thing. So if they wander on your page, also it's easy to get to your page. So that's what I'm hearing. Is that true?
Yeah. So that's a really interesting thing. So YouTube, like Google, its parent company, is a search engine, not a social media platform. So that's what I love about it. If I'm looking for, something specific and I type that into YouTube, I will find a video that is, that talks about those topics, that has those keywords. So when you're uploading your content onto YouTube or onto YouTube Shorts, if I'm searching, let's say, how to create a video on TikTok, and I type that into YouTube, I will find a video that's titled that or has keywords that are similar to what I'm searching. And so if I'm continuing to watch videos, the algorithm learns that as well. And so it starts to show me videos based on what I'm interested in and my desires and all those things that, it understands about me from all my Google search history as well.
Wow, I
So
didn't even know this. That is
yeah,
so cool.
yeah.
Okay, good to
So when
know.
you're Yeah. So the viewers really, so what ends up happening on YouTube is that your viewer are people who are already looking for the type of content that you're creating. So it's really important to title your videos and add SEO, like search engine optimization, to all of your videos and all of your content on YouTube. And we're seeing people with like very, very small following. So for example, our clients, when we just start out, maybe they'll have 25 subscribers on YouTube, but we're getting 80,000 views on YouTube a month just from YouTube Shorts. So
Wow.
there's a huge, huge opportunity there right now. I'm recommending any client who's making any type of video content, get it up on there.
Can you recycle your real content and use that as a YouTube short?
We grew a client to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube in under a year, literally by downloading our TikTok videos and Instagram Reels and posting them on YouTube Shorts and giving good, like search engine optimized titles. Literally in
Wow.
11 months, we did that. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's incredible results. I actually have a question circling back to when you said something about Instagram being the place to kind of close the deal. You're warming up those leads and then you can convert that into a sale. Can we talk a little more about the strategy behind closing a deal through Instagram? What is it, first of all, that warms that audience up the most? And how do you seal the deal with someone that's interested in buying from you via Instagram?
Okay, so that's a really interesting question. And I love that you asked it because it is so unique to every business. And this is why I preach about having a strategy and looking at your data and your insights and knowing what to look for so you can understand those things. So I hate giving the answer. It depends. It depends on the business because that's so not helpful. But definitely when it comes to Instagram, getting to the point of having a conversation, what I would say is number one, first and foremost, you want your content to really speak to the problem that your audience is having. So for example, my audience, one of the and I know this because I do a lot of research and I can get into the strategies of how I know this too. My audience mainly really does not have a lot of time to do social media content. So you'll find a lot of my content being about like, Here's how much time you're wasting by not having an expert. Here's how much that's costing you. Here's how much time you could save. A lot of my content is around time of content creation. I know that that activates my audience because I'm aware of what their problem is. And so I give them the framework, I give them the information, I tell them what they need to know, but I leave a gap so that there's actually like, wait, this is a huge problem that I have, and now I need to solve it. So how do I solve it? And so people will then end up reaching out to me via DM, like private message, and then we have those conversations. Now, I'm not someone who's very like salesy. I sell every single day in my content. Don't get me wrong. I show up in my stories and I'm talking about my services and offerings. However, I actually like to build community, because even whether or not that person buys from me, it's irrelevant. I want to help and serve people, because at the end of the day, that's my, my why. My why is to help people, right? So those people, they see my content, they get very activated by it. They send me a message. We start a conversation. I, generally send a voice message back because it's easier for me. And it also builds more of a connection and community. And we just start a conversation. So that's really what I recommend, you do when people are coming to you, is have those conversations in the DMs. One of the main things that happens too, it's like people will message me and I'll say, how much does it cost to work with you in this capacity? But the thing is that sometimes that capacity isn't actually the best way to help them. So if somebody's coming to me and saying, I'm a new business and I need social media management, what I like to do is actually ask them questions about what they're experiencing right now, because they might think that they need social media management, but maybe what they really need is consulting, or maybe what they really need is a content day. Like it might be a different offer. It may not be what they think that they want. So I always like to ask them questions before just like, here's a rundown of everything that I have to offer. And that way I can guide them in the most efficient way to help them get the result that they want to get.
I see that a lot in my industry too. People are like, I need a logo. And I'm like, do you really need a logo? You think that's going to solve all your problems? Let's dig a little deeper and see what the issue really is.
Right. But the interesting thing too is that what you can do when you start to see a lot of people sending you messages like that and giving you those questions, that's a cue that a lot of the people in your audience are having those types of questions, and they think that. So you can then make content based on the types of messages that you're getting. It's really important to listen to the feedback that you're getting, even when it's not feedback. If you're getting messages from people asking certain questions, it means that your audience isn't clear on something. So create content around that. Talk about that in your stories. It's interesting too, because if you're getting on a lot of sales calls or discovery calls, or anybody who's listening, if you're having conversations with prospective clients and they're not necessarily closing, you can look at all those patterns and start to make content that's answering the objections that you're seeing. So, if someone comes to you and is like, yeah, I really want to invest in this, but I need to think about it. What does that mean that you want to think about it? So you have to ask, okay, so just curious, what do you need to think about? And when they tell you, you can then create content around those items. So that's what we guide our clients to do as well when it comes to what we do in our stories. We really do want to be strategic in looking at what conversations you're having already with existing prospective clients, and how can you answer those objections or, potential objections in your content, so that when you're on a call with a client, you have already you've already answered those questions.
That's great. That is such good advice. Also, you had so many golden nuggets in there on how to create content.
I know. I just kind of throw it all out there.
I hope people are taking notes listening to this, because there's a lot of good strategy in here. I'm actually taking mental notes. So
good. Go over it again.
I want to talk about the idea of showing up consistently. I think people hear that a lot. That's advice that's constantly being given. I think you even did a post about it. Like, if you're going to be consistent, then that means consistent with strategy. So can you dig into that a little more and share with listeners what that means, what that looks like?
A lot of people don't show up with consistency because there's fear and limiting beliefs around showing up. If I show up and it's not perfect, people are going to think that I'm silly. People are going to think that I'm not an expert. I'm going to look dumb. I won't look professional. So once you get past those fears, because you have to push through those, you have to start, showing up. Consistently showing up is how you're going to get through those fears. You're not going to wake up one day and feel confident. You're going to get confident because you're consistently showing up. So it's kind of like that full circle moment. So that's the most important thing number one. If you're not showing up because you have fear of showing up, then you need to just show up, and it doesn't have to be perfect. And I don't care if you don't have a strategy yet, because you need to be showing up. That's number one. Once you are showing up, then it's important to have a strategy, because you don't want to be wasting your time. I feel like as business owners, and entrepreneurs, we're always looking for ways to maximize our return on investment on our time. It's one thing to pay somebody to do something, but like, if I can do something and get the same result in half the time, I'm going to go do that. Like, that is, you know what I mean? We're always looking for ways that we can save our time and invest it in other places. So now that you're already over this hump of like, okay, I can't show up, what you want to do is, how can I show up effectively in a way where it's bringing me a result because it's based in strategy, and I'm not just showing up and talking and nobody's listening to me? That's one of the things. So that is why it's so important to have a strategy and look at your analytics. Like, we kind of just touched on it. It's so important to know what your audience wants to hear, know what activates them. And as a kind of a little tip, you do that obviously by creating content and understanding the feedback that you're getting from them. Also by, listening into conversations that you're already having and creating content around that. But it's important to understand your audience and what motivates them. Like, what is their buyer type? What type of content do you need to create that will actually convert into a client? And so when you're doing that and you're consistently doing that because you have a strategy, not only is it easier to create content because you're going to see results, right? It's so easy to create content when it's like, oh, I know if I do this, then this is going to happen. It's more, you feel more motivated. So I think, that's really the key here, is that yes, you need to be consistent, but you also want to be consistent by doing the right thing consistently. Because if you're spending 5 hours a day creating content and you don't know that content is going to do anything for your business, then you've just wasted 5 hours of your day. Yes. But you had a strategy and you spent 5 hours strategically creating that content, then you spent 5 hours and you're getting clients. Whether you book 2 clients or 5 clients, you're still getting an ROI on your time. And 100%. You can always refine that. And you look at your analytics once you post the content, you look at your analytics, who's watching your stories, who is engaging with your stories, how are people skipping ahead? Are people watching? Like, I don't know if a lot of people do this, but I'd recommend you definitely do this, because I tell my clients to look at your stories and see who's watching the first one and the last one. And are they the same people? And take mental notes. Who are these people that are watching every single one of my stories? Now, listen, a lot of the people who watch all of my stories are my aunts and uncles, because, they support me and it's great and it's nice. But a lot of the same business owners that I know from, either through Instagram or in person are binging all of my content. And then what the next step is how do I convert those people from stalking my stories to becoming clients? And there's a strategy involved there. And, thankfully it's always refinement for sure. It's never perfect. But what you need to then identify is, okay, what type of content does this person need to see in order to see results? And generally it's answering an objection that I'm already having on discovery calls with other clients. So It's kind of all full circle come together.
That actually makes a lot of sense. There are so many hints in what our customers are coming to us with, in what they need. I actually take very detailed notes every time I have a consultation call, because when I can look back on them and see what the consistent problem is, then I know exactly what it is I need to create. Or like, I even refine my packages every few years because I see the demand is changing, and businesses are changing, their needs are changing. So what I serve and what I provide changes. So just to piggyback on that concept of, hints in those consultations, it helps me run my business every day. Besides just creating content for social media, it helps in all facets. I'm curious your opinion on merging your personal life with your business account. What do you think about, like, how much behind the scenes are you showing in your day-to-day? This is a question I get a lot. Like, how much of me and my life am I showing in a business professional account?
Okay. I love that you just asked me that question, because I also have this conversation all the time.
Right.
And I was really torn on it. And I was having this debate with a colleague of mine, and she challenged me to share more personal content. And it has actually, the results have been incredible. Like, the client retention that I've had from it, and I'll get into it. But basically, I was of the opinion where, it's okay to share personal things if the personal thing relates to the business. So for example, when I was starting my business, I would do a lot of content around building my business. And so, I was sharing the highlight reel, which I think was also, which definitely, that's something you do want to share. But I was
Right.
also, I'm all about authenticity. So I was also sharing the lowlights. But the thing is like, there is a balance, right? Like you can talk about real struggles that you're facing as a business owner, but I think that's very different than showing up and talking about like posting pictures of your kids from like a family barbecue. Like that I wouldn't do. And I definitely would not recommend it. But, if you're going through something in the business where, you're struggling to reach a goal and you're being real about it, people appreciate it because people follow people. Right. And so I
Yeah.
think there really is a balance. I know for me, like I was sharing a little bit about like a health journey that I was going through. And I literally had 2 clients who saw me talk about it on my Instagram stories, texted me and said, Tamar, I didn't know you were going through this. So interesting. I'm going through the same thing. I'm so grateful that I get to work with people who are so aligned with me. And so
Wow.
I always like to, and it's actually really interesting too, because the reason that my colleague and we were chatting about it, I was saying, I don't want to share about, my like health journey on my Instagram because number one, I don't want like, I don't know, like, I don't think it's relevant, but it's a huge part of my life. And she's
Right.
like, okay, well, why don't you actually share it and then talk about how you got through it? Because mentorship was the big way of how I got through it, working with mentors who helped me with my mindset and with the actual, going through that whole situation. And so she actually spun it in a way where the content that I created about it was, this is what I went through. This is who helped me. This is how I got the help. And this is where I am now. And I made it very inspirational. But then I spun it and I was like, the same relates to you and your content. You can be here, but if you want to get there, you need to get the mentorship. You need the expert advice, and then you can get through what you're going through. So in that case, number
Wow.
one, you're building that authority with your clients and with potential clients, because if you go through something, guaranteed somebody else is going through it too. But I also shared it in a way where it was also kind of, leveraging my business. And, the results were really, really awesome. People really reach out and resonate a lot when I share the personal content. So that's a really long way of answering your question. But what I would say is, don't share family photos if it's like just like, okay, here's what I did on a Sunday. If your business talks about wellness and you're going on like a spa day kind of thing behind the scenes, and that's like a personal thing, I would share like, because you're practicing what you preach, but it has to be related to the business. If it's super irrelevant and not related to your business, you're kind of taking away from your authority. That's what I would say.
Okay, that's really solid advice. It's interesting that you can somehow tie it back to what you do professionally. I see also when I strategically do that, where I share something that is personal, but I know that my audience will relate to it and resonate with it, especially my clients that are following me on social media. I You know what it is? It's not just like, oh, this relates to business. It's part of my why. It all comes back and stems from that why, like what you shared. And that's why people relate to it. Because the same way they relate to the reasons why you wake up every day and do what you do professionally and they buy from you because they trust you, that's the same. They're receiving what you put out there the same way when it's personal, but stems from that same place. So,
Totally.
right?
Totally. And people buy from people. They don't like, you know what I mean? It's always about that relationship. It's always about, who is this person on a personal level? So I agree. Like, you showcasing who you are and showcasing your why, that is, I would look at that as business content, even though it's about your personal life. And
Right.
it goes back to a strategy as well, because to social media strategy as well, because you said right now, I share this personal content when it relates to my business and my why. So that you know why you are sharing that type of content. There's other people who would share something and not know why they're sharing it. And in that case, I would say, don't share that content if you
Right.
don't have a reason behind it. So
Exactly.
100%, it builds your authority for sure if it's done in the right way, but you're doing it in the right way if you're backing it by a strategy, in which your case right now you are.
Right. Yeah. And you know what? It's funny because like the more immersed you are in your purpose, the less you think about it, it kind of just becomes natural. Like, oh, I need to share this with my people because they need to hear this today. It's less about like, why am I doing this? Who am I doing this for? Would they want to hear this? That becomes more natural the more you get into the groove of building a brand. So,
Totally.
oh my gosh, Tamar, I could speak with you all day about social media. I'm going to ask one more question and let you go. Let you go on with the rest of your day. Busy, busy day. How can we avoid social media burnout? Besides hiring you, I think that's like a really good big step. But for anyone who's going through burnout right now and they're not ready to give the wheel to someone else yet, how can people just avoid or maybe work through that immense overwhelm of content creation?
Okay. Simplify, simplify, simplify. Social media sound and the whole world of it. I know I talk about strategy and I know I talk about, content pillars and all the different things that you can do. Yeah. It becomes really overwhelming. Whatever you can do to simplify any part of the content creation process is going to make your life so much easier. And this relates to everything, not just social media, by the way. So what I would say, number one, is stop stressing about things needing to be perfect. That's number one. There's no space for perfectionism on social media. Getting something up there that is helping you, feel more comfortable on camera, that is good enough. That's number one. Number two, I would say is there's so many, you're doing things already in your day. So if you want content and you don't even know where to start, what I would say is like right now, we're on a call right now, right? Like my phone is in the background filming me. I'm getting content of me on a call right now, which I can then go and
I
use in
didn't
the
think to do that. I should have done that.
always. So that's one of the things. It's like document, don't create. So what I do is like I'm always documenting what I'm doing throughout the day. So as it relates to my business. So what I now will have after this call is video content that I can use in the background of a reel or in a TikTok video or to use in my stories or whatever it is. And I can then, I do a lot of like day in the life kind of videos as well, like vlog style. I can take like, 10 seconds of this video and pop that in there. So that's going to be also something that's going to be really helpful for you is that you're already doing things. Just film yourself doing them. Set up your camera on a tripod, have it in your store, have it in your clinic, have it wherever you work, your office, whatever it is, and just record that content. It's going to start getting a lot easier because you're not going to, it's not this overwhelming thing. I'm doing this anyway. So I'm actually maximizing my time right now. So that's the other thing I would say. And then the other thing is like, understand that social media is meant to be social. You're here to have fun. You're here to build community. And it's more important that you are showing up and learning how to use the platform and practicing because that is how you get better. You're not going to wake up one day and feel I'm the most confident person on camera. I am the most, incredible person to do X, Y, and Z. Like you're not going to just wake up and feel that way. What you have to do is practice and consistently show up so that you build that confidence in yourself so that you're able to do it. And when you are able to do that and you stop overwhelming yourself with the perfection and the whole world of what you have to do with the algorithms and all these pieces, if you can just show up and do it, it's not as though you kind of get rid and cancel out of that overwhelm because you're like, I'm showing up because I'm for the sake of showing up and I'm like building my skills. You know what I mean?
I love that.
Yeah, I would say it's like really stop getting caught up in the perfectionism of it and allow yourself to play and have fun and build community on social media and worry about that later. Like, like you can get a strategy, you can get all that, but if you're in burnout, I can guarantee you're not creating good content. So simplify this process, make it easier for yourself, repurpose your content. Oh my God, literally I do that for my clients all the time. Like take a video that you did 3 months ago and turn that into a carousel or turn that into a blog post or but come up with a system so that you are reusing content that you've already done. So it's not burning you out because if you are burnt out with your social media, I guarantee you that is coming through your content and people are not resonating. So yeah,
100%.
those are my tips for that.
Those are great tips. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for all of this amazing information. I can't wait to play this back and just jot some things down. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really excited. I hope this was helpful and that listeners, have a good takeaway from this and that it's helpful in building your presence on social media.
I totally imagine that it will help a lot of people. Where can people find you and work with you?
Yeah, so I'm really active on Instagram and on LinkedIn. So on Instagram, you can follow me at Lyons Digital Marketing. On LinkedIn, Tamar Lyons, and at my website, lyonsdigitalmarketing.ca. So I am all things social. I am always, you know, around and very active. So on any of those platforms, you can definitely reach out and say, hey.
Amazing. Oh my gosh, Tamar, thank you so much again for your time and wisdom today, and wishing you
For
an
having
awesome
me.
day. Thank you.